So, unfortunately, over the past weekend, we didn't have any regional championships, but we did have a large grassroots online tournament hosted by Victory Road that we can go through and look at for some, meta updates and whatnot. One of the first things that kind of jumps out at me here when we look at some of the top teams is one, I believe this is the same team with some slight changes that won the Frankfurt Regional Championships, which is very interesting. We also see two Rain teams as well here in the top four, one by Fede Kempo and another by Samuel here. Now, I believe Samuel here is running the Elizabeth Rain, I believe people are calling it. And then we also see here this like hybrid HO team that has the Whimsicott. We will look through some of these teams shortly. We also see just a massive Rillaboom dominance here as well, along with the Incineroar. So Incin was kind of funny, right? I don't know if people remember, but at the back end of Regulation H last year, Incin was the one that really started falling off towards the end of the format. But funny enough, it is back once again, just being incredibly dominant here. We also see quite a lot of Ninetales, which again, very interesting, right? And again, when you look at some of these top teams here, the team that won it, right, it also finished here at 6th place, it finished here at 7th place, it got 9th, and it got 10th. So it just shows this, version of this balance team is incredibly powerful. And I believe, did we get some usage stats? We did. So we also get to see here the usage stats as well. We get, in day one, 72% of teams were running Goldango. In day two, 71%. That is an absolutely insane conversion rate. Like, obviously, a lot of people are running Goldie, but it's kind of just showing right now that it is one of the absolute best Pokemon in this format. We also see Incineroar, once again, just an insane conversion rate. Obviously, 43% usage is still very high, but 57% in day two is incredible. Sneasel's another mod as well. Great conversion rate into day two. Rillaboom, again, also a great conversion rate. I mean, you look at all these teams, the D-Knight is the first mon that actually doesn't convert better than its day one usage, which is actually kind of insane because when you think about it, a lot of these Pokemon, right, are the best Pokemon in the format, right? You're talking about the top 5 usage mons here, all converted better into day two. And normally, a lot of the times what you'll see is because a lot of people are running these, the numbers do get a little skewed, right? Because again, obviously they play into each other a lot, therefore their win-losses can tend to be up and down. Therefore, the conversions aren't always the best. But we see here, D-Knight goes from 67 to 6. That is kind of insane when you compare that to Blood Moon Ursaluna here, who only had 3 more plays but had 5 more conversions into day 2. Ninetales also converts really well into day 2. Archelodon surprisingly doesn't convert that well, which again, very interesting just because of how good it was in the top 4, right? You think about it, 4 of these day 2 teams ended up being in the top 4 of the event, which is kind of crazy. Baskia Legion's conversion roughly the same. Baskia Legion I do think is actually one of the most slept on mons in this format, but also coming in at the 9th most used mon as well. I thought was super interesting. The Annihilate conversion, pretty bad. I'm actually not gonna lie, I thought this mon would be one of the best conversions in this event. I think it's an incredibly good Pokemon, and so seeing its conversion being so low, definitely surprising, especially with Incin being so high. It is just naturally one of the best Pokemon into Incin, and also with the speed boosting, the max speed sets, also incredibly good into Goldango as well. Of course, Ursaluna, pretty solid conversion here. The Volcarona, down a little bit, but I do expect to see this one continue to rise up. I do think Volcarona holds a really interesting niche in this format. With the Quiver Dance set, it is one of the few Pokemon that can set up in front of a Goldango and kind of beat it comfortably. But on top of that as well, it's just a really solid piece. Getting up Quiver Dances, again, it's one of the few speed boosting setup sweepers in the metagame right now. So because of that, I do think Volcarona will continue to rise up. And then we see Pelipper here. The conversion's pretty similar. Amoonguss converted a bit better. This is a mon definitely on the rise a little bit right now. Mousehold, also, it's funny to say it's on the rise, actually. It's 15th in usage, which is considered pretty low for Amoonguss. But I do think this was a mon that kind of fell off quite hard. But I definitely think it is still really solid in certain matchups. Mousehold, another mon I actually think is kind of interesting. I am going to do a video in the coming days where I do kind of talk about Mousehold, because I think this Pokemon currently is really well positioned, especially heading into the GC this coming weekend. And just in general, I think Friendguard Mousehold right now is just such an incredible Pokemon. I'm surprised it's not seeing a bit more play, if I'm being honest. Same could go for Sinistcha here as well. I think this Pokemon's incredibly well positioned. It's a Pokemon that obviously has some pretty good natural bulk. Its ability is very good with Pokemon like Annihilate and, of course, Archelodon as well, and just the Ursalunas, anything that really kind of wants to be a raid boss, right? And then on top of that as well, you got this setup set running around with the Heat Proof, which is very good also, right? Tita is an interesting weather piece. Not seeing too much play. P2 is a one that's definitely dropped off as, the metagame has kind of developed. And then really just looking through here, nothing here converts super duper well. Whimsicott being so low is definitely interesting. I do think this is... A part of me wants to say it's the premier Tailwind setter in terms of like priority Tailwind, but in seeing that as well, you see down here Talonflame not getting that much play. Obviously Murkrow is not on the list, so Yeah, the conversion rates here for day 2 for a lot of these Pokemon are quite low. I'll say like the metagame, this definitely felt like, at least in the day 2 of this event, there wasn't anything too crazy. And again, we'll go through the team shortly, but even seeing things like, only one male Indeedee making it to day 2, quite interesting, because obviously Indeedee plus Sneasler had been one of the best combos really throughout the last month or so, but obviously the Rillaboom plus Sneasler is definitely picking up quite a bit. Part of me thinks a big reason for that is because a lot of the Indeedees, especially the male ones, want to run max speed, so it's really hard to lead male Indeedee into, potentially some Rillaboom stuff, and also just having Rillaboom in the back is like really easy, and like a lot of these like Rillaboom Golden Go Insins, like they can kind of beat them, right, like pretty comfortably, because you just lead something like Goldango plus Insin, and then you just pivot into the Rillaboom, and then it's like, well, okay, you can expanding forwards, you can throat chop, but I'm going to take it without even terroring. And then at that stage, if you're like Life Orb, you're threatening a KO onto both pieces. So yeah, it's definitely dropping off, and I understand why, but I definitely expect to see it continue to, like, I guess, build a niche. And of course, this is a small tournament as well, so the conversion into day 2 isn't anything too crazy. Like, as we see here, there's only 28 players in that day 2 as well, so yeah, so it's not like super, like, important, I guess. But again, there's obviously just a lot of meta things we can take out of it. So with the meta analysis out the way, let's just take a look at some of the top teams, right? So as I said, I believe Emmanuel won Pittsburgh. I could be wrong. I might have the tournaments mixed up here, but this is essentially the exact same team that was used to win Pittsburgh, right? The only main difference I can see just from looking at this is they did opt for Encore over Disable, but outside of that, everything else to me looks to be the same, right? Obviously, you're running, set up Golden Go paired up with the Rillaboom, Incin, and Ninetales here, just really good, right? Ninetales giving you that speed control for the Golden Goes, which is fantastic in the mirror. Also having Encore as well, right? Which is, I think, very, very good with a Pokemon like Goldango, especially if you're able to like protect, bait out a move, and then potentially Encore them in, and then just, make sure Goldie's not getting hit by the moves it doesn't want to get hit by, right? Especially good into things like Fake Out as well. Obviously, we have the Rillaboom here. This is just running the standard stuff. High horsepower is interesting to see over U-turn on these Incineroar teams, but high horsepower, I think, on this team in particular makes a lot of sense. When you look at like this team here, it kind of does struggle into fire types, right? Of course, you have the Blood Moon Ursaluna here, but if Blood Moon Ursaluna gets taken out, you don't really have ways to hit some of the, the big fire types in the metagame. So I do think having something like high horsepower as well is really good. It also gives your team just another option into Kingambit as well, which could be very, very annoying for Goldango teams, right? Because obviously, like, you've got this Incineroar piece, which does hit it for super effective damage, but obviously the issue with Incin is you give it +1 attack, and it can kind of get a little bit messy, right? So I do think having something like high horsepower is very good, and especially too when you are playing gold into it, it's just really nice to bait out the Terror, right? And then you can start hitting with like +2 Make It Rains and doing a ridiculous amount of damage. Of course, the Sneasler set here as well. This is one of the sets that we have seen picking up quite a bit. It's the Terror Flying Acrobatic set. One of the big issues with this set here in particular is it obviously doesn't hit Goldango if they don't Terror, or at least for a lot of damage. Of course, you do have SD and Acrobatics, so you've got options. But this is one of my favorite Sneasler sets. It is simply... It's simple, just, it's honest, right? I'm sure we've all been there. I played a tournament game over the weekend, and I just got Diaclaw slept, as I slept for 3 turns. I finally woke up. I got first turn powered into a full power. So yeah, no one likes Diaclaw Sneasler. I hate that one. But yeah, so I do like this set here. This is very, very honest. And then of course the interesting piece of this team here is the Blood Moon Ursaluna. The Terra Electric gives you a really good matchup into Goldango, right? Especially on this set as well. I believe Emmanuel did release the pace for it, and it's like, I think it's like max speed def and then like 100. And like off memory, it's like there's a bit of HP and a bit of special attack investment, but it's like max speed def. Of course you got that leftovers plus the grassy terrain, so you pair that with protect, and this Pokemon heals like it heals a lot. And then of course Yawn is just super good, especially in end games. If you could like take 2 KOs with like Goldango and then eventually get in the Ursaluna, you Yawn something, you protect, it feels so damn good. But yeah, look, there's a reason, if we have a look at this again, it's like it got first place, it got 6th, it got 7th, it got 9th, it got 10th. There's a reason this core of 5 got 5 of the top 11 in this tournament. It is just super duper strong, man. So the team here in second, I'm almost certain this is just the Elizabeth team. Obviously a very, very strong team. People do mess around with the Terror on the Archaludon. I believe on these sets as well, they actually go bold over like modest, just so they can get the most out of their body presses, which is definitely really interesting. But this team here, it is just super consistent. It's also a team as well where, you can lead something like Pelipper Archaludon, and you just don't know what they're going to do, right? They could have Ursaluna Sinister in the back, right? They could lead with like D-Knight, Goldango. Like this team does a lot of things. And it's just super scary to play into because it's really like you have to make a call and it's really hard to be like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I like have my Rain matchup, but then I've also got my like my Trick Room matchup, and it's one of the really difficult things about this team, right? Is you got to prepare for Archaladon, you've also got to prepare for Ursaluna. And then, like, even if you prepared well for them both, you manage to, like, you know, kind of stall out their Trick Room, their Tailwind, whatever it is they're going for. There's just always this Toy Scarf Goldango in the back that can kind of just start, you know, cleaning up. So it's a very, very scary team to deal with, of course. You know, it's a very strong Rain team. Archaladon plus Pelipper is good. Of course, you got that Terra Water, Terra Blast, Goldango. The Trick Room mode as well with Sinister, Ursaluna is very scary. And then, of course, as well, you just got 2 flying types paired up with Ursaluna, both of which have Tailwind. So, yeah, if you manage to set up Tailwind, you can just start spamming EQs. Just a really good team, really consistent, and yeah, just very, very scary to run into. So next up here is Fede Compo's team. I actually do want to peep this out here because I actually think I ran into this team on the High Vesta 1. I think I ran into it at about 1700. And yeah, this to me is actually, yeah, I'm actually almost certain I ran into this team now, just like looking at it, because I remember playing Scarf Pelipper with Sash, Basket Legion. But yeah, this team is like really, really scary, especially in closed team sheet, as I learned the hard way. But yeah, no, even in open team sheet, it's very, very good, of course. You know, you've got the Pelipper here with Choice Scarf. Basically, Pelipper's job on this team is not speed control, it's just to deal a lot of damage. Obviously, you've got the Icy Wind there as well, which can help out with things like Basket Legion and Archaladon. But if you look at the team here, it's the Whimsicott, that is your Tailwind setter, right? Of course, you pair that up with Archaladon here, who's got the Power Herb Sturdy set, which is very, very good again. Like, if you get a lead right, and maybe they lead something slow, they don't lead Fake Out, you can just go Fake Tears into Terra Electro Shot, and you're just going to nuke stuff. It's kind of insane damage, if I'm being honest. And then, of course, you got the Pelipper again, just setting up the Archaladon. As I said, if you need speed control, you can go Icy Wind into the Electro Shot. Just very, very good. The Sash Basket Legion as well is picking up right now. It's just incredibly powerful into the current metagame. It's one of those things where, like, don't get me wrong, you know, I do think Scarf Basket Legion on non-rain teams is like really good, and obviously on this team here, it is the rain version, so that's why you know, it's interesting to see no Swift Swim, but again, like in closed team sheet, you're probably expecting this thing to be Swift Swim, therefore, you know, you might calculate damage a bit differently, and then, you know, Terra Ghost adaptability boosted Last Respects can clean you up. It just does absurd amounts of damage. AV Instant as well on this team with Terra Ghost, I thought was like really interesting because this team, it doesn't really have like the best Amoonguss matchup, and when you're playing Rain, like Amoonguss just feels like such a natural bring. But in saying that, I'm sure there's a reason for it, right? This team plot with like Fake Tears probably just has ways to absolutely just abuse Amoonguss, right? Between obviously the Make It Rain coming out of the Goldango, right? You got the Fake Tears, of course, you know, Fake Tears plus anything Archaladon's doing as well. Like Fake Tears into Draco Meteor is just like absurd amounts of damage. Even like Fake Tears into Hurricane is stupid damage. So yeah, this team here by Fede, I think this is actually one of the best of one teams. I'm not gonna lie, I might even actually test this out myself now that I've seen the open team sheet for it. Because another thing as well is this here, like a lot of people don't realize this, but Life Orb Terra fighting Goldango with Terra Blast just one shots I believe like all standard Insins. I'd have to double check the calc on it, but I remember running into it into the last GC when I was running AV Insin, and it did like 85% to my AV Insin, and I was like max HP plus Assault Vest, so I was like, damn, if I wasn't AV, I was 100% dead to that. Maybe it's just because I was like no SPDEF investment, I was just relying on the AV. But yeah, this thing here, like this team here, this is actually a crazy best of one team. I'm gonna have to test this out because I think this is, on paper, this is one of the coolest teams. Of course, like it's got a lot of best of one tech. I feel like I've said that a bunch here, but yeah, like in closed team sheet, like watch out, this thing is super scary. So we have Chris's team here as well. So this is a slight variation of the team here that won the event. This is actually very similar as well to something I've personally been testing with the Scarf Basket Legion, I believe, plus the Volcarona with Seed. So I think the only difference between this team and the team I was testing is instead of the Ursaluna, I did have a Life Orb Goldango, but I still think the core is like incredibly strong. I think like Ninetales is just such a good Pokemon right now. It makes Rain really, I don't want to say really easy to match up into, but it makes it a lot easier. Of course, then, you know, Insane, Rillaboom, and Basket Legion, it just feels incredible right now. I'm not gonna lie. Like this Firewater Grass core is just, it's stupid how strong this is. I am personally just a huge fan of it. And then, of course, the Blood Moon Ursaluna, like, this Pokemon in general just feels kind of broken. And then, again, you pair it with, like, lefties, like, a lot of SPDEF. Of course, you got the Veil coming out of Ninetales here as well. It just feels, like, really good. And, like, you have this, like, 5-mon core here, which is, like, it offers a lot of damage and a lot of support. And then in the games where you kind of need something to set up, you've just got this, you know, Terra Fairy Volcarona with Grassy Seed, right? Give it Intimidate, you give it Grassy Terrain, you know, you hit a Quiver Dance or two, you've got Encore in the back. It feels really good. This is just a really good team. I wish we actually got to see the set for it because I would have loved to have seen how Robbie played this. But yeah, this is just an awesome team. And Scarf Basket Legion, put some respect on this mon. I think it's incredibly good. We'll take a brief look at some of these guys here. I'm assuming it's all just the same stuff. So this one's got Disable on it. Yeah, that all looks kind of the same. Like, again, this is obviously the same teams. I just want to see if any of them have some like interesting tech. He's got the encore. Yeah, I mean, look, it all looks the same. Like, there are definitely like some slight variations. Like, I think the instant on that one was a bit different. Yeah, the last one was like goggles sorry, it was grass with berry. This is like goggles with ghost. I mean, this one's disabled. Yeah, they all kind of feel the same. There's just like slight variations between them all. Again, citrus plus grass. Terra Blast. Okay, Terra Ground, Terra Blast. Dude, was this like a close team sheet tournament? Like, what the hell? What are you Terra Blast granting? Like, Insin? Like, that just feels bad. Like, no, does that not just feel bad? Like, Goldengo, I guess, maybe? Like, I don't know. Terra Blast Goldengo? I'd have to double check it, but I feel like that's something you'd want to run on specs more than anything. But anyway, we'll skip all those teams here. We got Zachary Weed's team here as well. I believe this is like our first Kingambit of the event as well. So, I mean, most, like, these guys here we've kind of already discussed, right? The Sash Bash Legion's just, like, so scary. Like, Sash with Terra Ghost just makes some endgames, like, kind of crazy, especially because on this set as well, I think you just run Jolly. Of course, you know, oh, this time, no Acro. He does have the Terra Flyer, but he's playing the Dishonest Diaclaw set. Life Orb Ninetales, very interesting, but I definitely think it has some merit. There's a lot of times where this Pokemon kind of just sits on the board and doesn't really do too much. So I think having Life Orb just meaning like, hey, you kind of have to put some respect on it, of course, is really good. Magmar as well, just like an auto win into like Amoonguss teams. Heatwave as well is also just solid damage. Taunt is also very good against some of the slower paced teams. And then of course Kingambit, the Swords Dance plus Black Glass is just really good. I am surprised to see no Terra Dark on this, but I'm guessing this is for something along the lines of the Goldengos, because again, Goldie's one of those mons where like sometimes you need to Terra to like get away from its friend, but then the second you Terra into something like Terra Dark, if you don't have a way to like secure or like safely hit the Goldengo, you're just gonna die to like a +2 make it rain. So I think it does make sense to see something like the Terra Fire there. And then, so I guess this is just Top Cut, right? Yeah, and then we have Alan's team here as well. I believe, I don't know if this is the exact version we saw recently, but we have started seeing this Tricore, I guess, of Espathra, Sneasler, and Indeedee slowly pick up. Basically, Espathra is like really, really good with Lumina Crash and Speed Boost. Like, if you can start just like getting up Lumina Crashes, things just start folding. It's really, really insane. Of course, you got the standard Sneasler here. This is just like the anti-Goldengo set. It's like, oh, you're going to lead Goldie. I'm at least going to try to force you to Terra. And then if you Terra, my Espathra can kind of clean you up late game. Of course, you know, we've got the Indeedee here as well. It's kind of just the main support for the Espathra and the Sneasler. Hisui and Arcanine on this team as well. Very good into opposing Kingambit. Of course, when you've got Espathra and Indeedee, and even Sneasler to a certain extent. I mean, Sneasler's not that bad, but like, you know, if they've got support, it gets a bit dicey. But yeah, you need ways, multiple reliable ways, I guess, to deal with Kingambit when you are running a Side Spam team. So having the Mirror Herb plus Close Combat does make a lot of sense. Again, speaking of Kingambit, you've got your own here with AV Low Kick. Very, very good into the Mirror. Obviously, a lot of physical defense on this mon. Its bulk, as I said, is really good. Of course, it resists both stabs coming out of Kingambit. And because you got AV as well, it, you know, kind of gives you room for that low kick, which is really cool. And then finally, the last one on this team, this is going to be one of my favorite meta adaptations, that we've seen for a while. I will say it is interesting to see no Tailwind on this team. Because normally, like, these Hydreigons do like to, you know, like drop one of their offensive moves and go for something like a Tailwind. But the Terra Ghost plus Levitate hard walls Ursaluna. Which is really cool. Basically, this just gives you a check into Ursaluna. Of course, if you have a look at a lot of the standard Trick Room teams, this mon beats Torkoal, it beats the Side Spam stuff. I bet maybe not so much Side Spam if it has Hat, but like it beats Torkoal, right? It beats a lot of like common Indeedee partners. And then on top of that, with the Terra, it basically just allows you to hard wall the Ursaluna, which is very, very good. Having Taunt as well, it's just like, again, it's just a really good anti like balance team, right? It's like, oh, you know, if someone was to start setting up and stuff like that, being annoying, it's good. And of course as well, I believe Modest max speed Hydreigon outspeeds Timid max speed Goldango as well by a couple points. Goldie hits like 149. I think Hydreigon hits, off memory, is it 150? I think it hits 150. I might have to double check that. It might be 151, but I'm almost certain Hydreigon's like 1 or 2 points faster, which again makes it really good because you can afford to like run max speed with like a different nature that other than Timid, which again really cool. And having Snarl just again really good into the Goldengos of the world. All right, before we wrap this up, is there any other cool stuff I wanted to look at here? Of course, Sand is always interesting. I don't want to like jump into it too much. Michael Kelsch, the bestie, running the Talonflame. I'll tell you guys right now, Talonflame, the bane of my existence. I hate this mon so much. Dude, rough skin on Sand is also kind of crazy, but yeah, I thought this team was actually going to be a bit more goated with the source than it is. It's kind of just like, I don't want to say standard, but it's like good stuff, right? It's like Life Orb Chomp. Chomp plus like Kilo is pretty good. Obviously, it's also really good with Terra Flying. T-Tar as well, so that's like pretty solid. Marco Silva, we don't need to talk about this team. We've spoken about this team in the past. Is this also like the High Dragon anti? Yeah, dude. Yeah, so this is what I was kind of saying before. This one actually, sorry, it has double stab, no taunt. This is just like the I'm going to beat you in the mirror type thing. Really, really solid, of course. Anything else that's like crazy? I don't know. A lot of these teams feel kind of standard at this point, which is a bit sad because the regionals recently have been kind of fire. This team here as well with Murkrow. Dude, what is this like 2-2-2 Murkrow stuff? Hayes foul play. I mean, Hayes good for them. Actually, Hayes with Terraspex Goldie. That's what it is. I was like looking at this team. I'm like, what is this? I just realized that it's 2-2-2. It's Dozo Geary, Sneasel Side Spam, and then Goldie Murkrow. You just go like Tailwind, Terra Steel, Make It Rain, Hayes, Terra Steel, Make It Rain. Good stuff. Yeah, you're kind of just trying to open the path up for the Dondozo here. Interesting though to see Rock Slide over Order Up. That's kind of cool, I guess. And then anything else? I mean, some of these teams I have seen in the past. I don't know if I covered this team. I think this actually won the last Victory Road tournament, didn't it? I'm pretty sure it did. I actually got to play this team a little bit as well, actually, on the high ladder. I saw some like really good players using it on best of one. It's just good stuff, man. You got the backs in the Kingambit, and even the Rillaboom to a certain extent that all love the coaching. The Heat Wave as well coming out of Blaziken is like pretty good. This one's special attack stat is actually like pretty solid. And then on top of that as well, like Blaziken is like the least threatening mon on this team, and that's kind of what makes it so threatening because it's like, oh, I don't want to touch Blaziken, but then like if you double its friend on a protect and it coachings, it's kind of scary. But then also if this thing starts getting like 2-3 speed boosts, it's like, oh crap, even if you've got like Tailwind, you just don't outspeed this thing. So yeah, Blaziken actually like a really cool meta adaptation. The Specs Primarina as well makes a lot of sense. Like, I feel like I've been one of the few people that are actually like high on Prim. Everyone I ever speak to is just like, Prim's bad, it's a fraud, blah blah blah. I think that's wrong. This like metagame lacks two things: good water types and good fairy types. You know, of course you got things like Dozo, right? Of course, like Pelipper's okay. You know, there's like Basculegion as well. But in terms of like the fairies, like there's none. So, and again, like I think a lot of the water types I named as well, they aren't like special attackers. So being a water and a fairy, it just makes so much sense. And triple starters like cool, man. And Baxcalibur in this metagame as well is really good. Like Bax has like a really good matchup into the D Knights because like coaching into like Icicle Spear just like is so strong. Like unless they're Terra Steel, like it's free. But then if they're Terra Steel, you've got like other ways, right? So yeah, really cool team there as well. Is that kind of it? I've also seen this team here as well a little bit on ladder. It's like super annoying. It's the Annihilate plus Ursaluna with Friend Guard. It's just like super hard to deal with because it's like normally they like to get up their screens and then they like to get their Friend Guard piece in, and like if they just like if their whole game plan is like centered around one of them, they just start cycling like Friend Guard Hospitality, Friend Guard Hospitality. Meanwhile, they're sitting behind screens. On top of that, they also have like Misty Terrain, so you can't burn it. It's just yeah, it makes dealing with the Annihilate really hard. And even Blood Moon Ursaluna, like AV Blood Moons tend to like get a little bit of disrespect just because they're not like they don't deal that much damage. So I think people kind of look at them and they're like, oh, it's like not super threatening. But then it's like, oh crap, he just clicked Blood Moon 3 times, Hyper Voice 3 times. It's like, yeah, it does a lot of chip damage, you know? And especially too when it's behind screens, it's got Friend Guard. Like Friend Guard is also like my other big thing. I will say, kind of crazy to see no Super Fang on this team, but like I kind of get it. You probably need Taunt for certain matchups. But like Super Fang plus AV Blood Moon Ursaluna is like one of my favorite combos in the game right now. It's like, it's so sick, man. And then finally, I think that's kind of it. Shout out to Matthew here as well, running the homie Dim's team. I actually played Matthew as well, I think, yesterday. Very good player. I played him in one of the Australian events. So yeah, very solid player. Congrats to him, obviously making day 2 here. But yeah, I think that is probably gonna wrap it up. As well too, I'm just gonna open up the team there. I can flick on my camera as well. I just want to like say sorry. Like sometimes like I don't put the camera on, and I always wonder like, oh, do people complain I don't have the camera? The reason I don't is this: it's white screen, white shirt. It just makes me look super red. So like when I'm like here, it's alright. But yeah, I thought I'd just throw that in at the end of the video. Also as well to point out, I bought a new microphone. I've been getting like comments on and off for like the last few months about my microphone, or at least my old one. This bad boy here. And I wanted to upgrade it for a little bit. I was like, you know what? You know, new games are coming out. Let's just invest. So I got a nice new microphone. So yeah, I guess let me know down below if the microphone sounds any better. I'm really curious to see what people think. Like for me, I think it sounds better. But then in saying that, you know, I also just spent a bit of money on it. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I hope it sounds better, right? But yeah, anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this one. I guess let me know what you think down below about some of these teams. Obviously, it's a bit unfortunate. Like the VR Tour, it was good. Some of the teams were a bit like basic, and unfortunately, we're in a position where like there was no regionals this past weekend, and I think like the next set of regionals is like 2 weeks away still. But in saying that, this weekend coming up, we do have the GC. So I am planning a video for tomorrow, probably just going over some of the best picks for the GC. So if that's something you're interested in, obviously, you know, hit that subscribe button, stick around, hit the like button as well. You guys know it means the world to me. But yeah, we're at a stage now as well where like we're only a little over 2 weeks away. From Legends EA dropping, so it's pretty exciting. I'm hoping in the next week or so we get the data mines, get to finally start talking about some of those mega evolutions. So that should be hopefully really, really cool. But yeah, exciting time to be a fan, guys. I promise I'm going to try and make some more videos over the coming days. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.